All Saints Day. It's my daughter Mary's birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mary. We're just a few days away from the election, which is on my daughter's birthday.
Look at that. 6th. All it comes around.
And if you walk into our green room today, there's a lot of candy. A lot of people have the same idea. Bring the candy in from home
and
because you don't want to eat it. And we dumped it right here for the staff.
For us.
Thank you.
Listen, we've got a lot to talk about. As Ainsley just said, 5 days until the midterms, which we have been talking about since 2016, the day after the presidential election. The President of the United States was down. He had a full house at Hertz Arena there in Estero, Florida.
Look at that crowd.
It's the first of 2 Florida stops. You know, the southwest portion of Florida were some of the areas that turned out big for the president in 2016, along with the Panhandle and North Florida as well.
A lot of people are concerned in Florida about the Panhandle if you're a Republican, because the Panhandle's been devastated by Hurricane Michael, and people are thinking, well, they're so busy repairing their homes, putting their life back together, are they going to be able to go out and vote? Well, they showed up yesterday, and the president had some familiar themes.
Democrats want to erase our prosperity and reverse our progress. A vote for Democrats is a vote to liquidate America's borders. But we're getting prepared for the caravan, folks. You don't have to worry about that. Yes, we will end, finally, birthright citizenship. It's costing us so many billions of dollars. If you want low taxes and low crime, vote Republican. This election is truly a choice between results and resistance. Who voted? Who voted? Oh, wow. Everybody voted already? Then what the hell am I doing here tonight? Goodbye, everyone.
He loves these rallies. You know, during the election, he would do 6 rallies in one day. Some of these during the next week, or next 5 days, he's going to be stopping all over the country. One day he's doing 3 rallies.
So far in Florida, they're estimating that 3.5 million people have either voted via absentee, requested one, or early voting. That is ahead of 2016.
I'm so glad they do that. It makes it easier for everyone. If you're not going to be in town, you get a chance for your voice to be heard.
You have a whole month.
Right. Or you could vote multiple times. You show up early and then show up.
No, you can't.
Oh,
That's illegal.
That's
all right,
Chicago.
Sorry. You're right, Steve.
That's the joke.
I also love something else he brought up. He said, instead of the familiar theme that the media is the enemy of the people, he came out and said there's some very good people, reporters and journalists. Not all of them, but there's some very good people there. So I think moderating that message, I think, was important. Also bringing up the fact that he could not believe that during those 2 horrific events with the mail bombing and the carnage on Saturday at the synagogue, all of a sudden you guys are blaming me for that, and that's not where the that's not where the criticism belongs.
He slammed the far-left media for spreading lies. He said they're using that tragedy in Pittsburgh and the bomb to sow anger and division. He said Republicans want no crime, no chaos, and no caravans, and Democrats want open borders, and they want to continue to invite caravan after caravan.
Well, it's a sprint to the finish. The president is going to be doing rallies all over the place. Later today, he's going to be in Columbia, Missouri, and then he's going to be in Huntington, West Virginia, and Indianapolis on Friday. The president's going to be in Montana, Big Sky Country, and back in Florida on Saturday, then Macon, Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee on Sunday, and then the president will be in Cleveland, in Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Cape Girardeau, the home of Rush Limbaugh, on Monday as people head to the polls.
Well, you can tell the races in Florida are very important to him because he's going twice, and he's already been several times before. He's trying to boost the votes for Rick Scott and for DeSantis there.
That's right. Ron and Rick, as he referred to them last night, he said that they would do a great job. Also, Congressman Francis Rooney, who's running for re-election, he kind of struck the tone when he said, we need to help the president by getting your vote out in Southwest Florida. We need to run up the score like we did in 2016. And so the message that we heard last night was, it's 2016 all over again.
People are motivated. They're excited to go to the polls and to vote and for their voices to be heard.
And I think it's important to bring up, they also chanted the mayor of Tallahassee under additional investigation. And now we understand this. When he talks about Medicare for all and raising property taxes, I think it shouldn't be hard for Ron DeSantis to be able to put a stark line between the 2 different looks of what Florida will be like for the next 4 years. Meanwhile, the President of the United States also is concerned, as many of you are, about not only this caravan with a about 7,000 people, but others are forming, saying this is a great idea. There's at least 2 more ready to come out of Guatemala, out of Honduras, through Guatemala, maybe El Salvador, up to Mexico, because it seems now it's almost in vogue to get a bunch of people and start marching.
That's why the president has said if we don't stop the first one, they're going to continue to do this over and over and over, and that's why it's important for us to send these troops. He said on Monday he was going to deploy 5,200 troops, and then on Tuesday, one of the generals said that number is going to rise, and then yesterday the president said it could be anywhere between 10 and 15,000 personnel to go down there and assist Homeland Security. Listen to this.
No, not fear-mongering at all. The Democrats have let immigration in our country get out of control with it. We need Democrat votes to change the immigration laws. They have, as far as the caravan, which is very dangerous, you see what's been happening. As far as the caravan is concerned, our military is out. We have about 5,008. We'll go up to anywhere between 10 and 15,000 military personnel on top of Border Patrol, ICE. Nobody's coming in. We're not allowing people to come in.
The president also said his estimate of the number of illegals in this country, 25 to 30 million. The often quoted number is between 10 and 12 million, so that was something new. Also, the president said yesterday he is committed to ending birthright citizenship, as we heard in that Axios interview a couple of days ago, but he said yesterday he would prefer to go through Congress rather than executive order. He also said if President Obama could do DACA, the Dreamers, then the President Trump should be able to end birthright citizenship with executive order as well, although there are people like Paul Ryan who say, no, you can't.
And the president took him to task.
He did.
And if
He blew him up.
if you look at the other channels, which I have all these channels, and I'm saying I'm only watching one. I should flip around.
Animal Planet?
Right. C-SPAN 2 as well, because I love the programming and the diversity. But I would say also there's a civil war on the Republicans. It's not a civil war. It's the president just saying, honestly, I got a problem with the speaker calling me out on a radio show when he didn't even talk to me first. Peter, so it's not a civil war. It's honest dialogue back and forth.
But, you know, the Washington Post this morning has got a great item about how it's not just Republicans who have gone along with the president in the past regarding immigration. Now you've got Joe Donnelly, who is in the fight of his life in Indiana. He said regarding birthright citizenship, he said, you know what, we'll have to take a look at that legislation.
We'll have to.
I want to see that legislation, make sure it's constitutional, and review it. Claire McCaskill, a Democrat, in the fight for her life, she urged the president to use, quote, every tool at his disposal to stop the caravan. She says, I 100% back him up.
This crazy Democrat, she said.
And then Tennessee former Governor Phil Bredesen said his decision as governor a decade ago, 12 years ago, to deploy 1,600 Tennessee National Guardmen to the southern border. He said, the TV ad says, actions speak louder than words. In 2006, when the president said he needed help to secure the border, Tennessee Governor Phil Bredesen didn't wait to be asked, and he didn't play politics. So now there are a number of Democrats in red states who are on board with the president in his tough talk about immigration.
Until November 7th.
Right,
then we'll find out.
And then they'll vote a different way. You know, when the president won a few years ago, everyone said, well, he gets us. He understands us. He understands our needs. He's promised us all these things, and a lot of those things on his list he has been able to check off. Peter Kirsnow, he's a U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. He was on with Tucker last night, and he says the media and the Democrats don't understand the needs of middle America. Listen.
Most normal Americans are not concerned about the race, ethnicity, or the gender identity of the participants in the caravan.
Exactly.
They're concerned because they see 7,000 mostly military-age males who are jobless, who proclaimed an intent to violate our borders, break our laws, and they're not going to be moving to the neighborhoods that these journalists and these media talking heads talk about. They are completely divorced from the concerns of normal Americans with respect to what these individuals who are going to be imminently crossing the border are going to do.
And that's just it. No one's afraid. We just want a sense of order when it comes to our immigration system. And flooding our borders, there's no order. For General Jim Mattis, now Secretary of Defense, he's putting 5,200 troops and maybe 7,000. You heard me, it's 15,000. And then he was asked, hey, listen, is this an election stunt? Listen to his response.
So is this a political stunt, as critics allege?
Yeah, the support that we provide to the Secretary for Homeland Security is practical support based on the request from the Commissioner of Customs and Border Police, and so we don't do stunts in this department. Thank you.
We don't do stunts. They asked for help.
Thank you.
And we're here to help.
Right.
All right.
It's called coordination.
All right, let's hand it over to Jill. We've got Ron DeSantis coming on our show later.
Right. About an hour from right now.
That's right.
Sounds like you're bragging. Are you? Okay.
I'm bragging on the people who booked him. We have such a great crew here.
At 7:15, stay tuned for that. Okay, let's get you caught up on your news right now, starting with this. The man accused of killing 11 innocent people inside a Pittsburgh synagogue is due back in court this morning. Robert Bowers has now been indicted on 44 federal charges, including hate crimes and murder. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Funerals for more than half of the victims have been held, with more services planned for today. Investigators are one step closer to figuring out how a 2-month-old Boeing plane crashed into the sea just minutes after takeoff. Navy divers recovering one of the 2 black boxes overnight in Indonesia. The device was buried under mud and debris on the sea floor. The Lion Air jet experiencing technical problems on a flight the night before. All 189 people on board are presumed dead. People in Virginia may soon have to work in order to keep their Medicaid benefits. The state is expected to file a waiver with the Trump administration as soon as tomorrow. Recipients would have to either work or take classes, then report those hours to the state. This comes after the administration approved Wisconsin's new rules requiring recipients to work at least 80 hours a month. That means taxpayers will no longer foot the bill. And it's a Halloween homecoming. A soldier dresses up in a dog costume to surprise his daughters at their school's parade. Amelia and Josie's class was picked to join mascot Buddy Bulldog on stage for a photo. That's when their dad, Army Sergeant First Class Jason Middleton, revealed himself. He's finally home in Wisconsin after a nearly year-long deployment in Kuwait. I just wonder why did he pick a dog? I guess because it matched the mascot, right? Or it was
I think
the mascot.
so.
This is facts are your department on this
Yeah,
story.
I was kind of watching as I was reading, and I don't know.
It was the mascot.
It was the mascot.
It was the mascot.
Right, Jillian, or tweet her directly.
I'm losing it, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Jillian. Meanwhile, CNN's Don Lemon has doubled down and refused to apologize after he said this.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson is here to react to that live.
Plus, Pete Hegseth is having breakfast with friends. We brought a camera. He promises to televise it.
They're the friends.
The midterm elections are just 5 days away, and in a blue state of Connecticut, the race for governor is stunningly too close to call.
In Connecticut, we're talking about New England. Republican Bob Stefanowski, he is narrowing the Democratic candidate. His name is Ned Lamont, and he's just right behind him by a few points, as you can see in this new Quinnipiac poll, to within the margin of error. So could he turn that blue state red?
And why is this happening? That Republican candidate for Connecticut Governor Bob Stefanowski joins us right now. He's also CFO for a UBS investment bank. Bob, what made Connecticut open to your candidacy?
We've got a horrible economy here. We've had 8 years of a Democratic governor. We've had 2 of the largest tax increases in the history of the state of Connecticut. We have a $4 billion budget deficit. We've got an employee pension plan at the state level that's $100 billion underfunded. We're the classic example of failed economic policy. And the reason I'm actually leading in the polls right now, in the internal polls, is that people want change.
It's amazing when you talk about Connecticut, because everyone here in New York, everyone who wants to move to the suburbs, they say it's such a beautiful area, but taxes are so high there.
Yeah.
National Review claims in 2020, the state government spending will outpace its revenue by 13%, a deficit of $2.6 billion. National Review had this headline as well. Connecticut's gubernatorial race is a referendum on failed Democratic fiscal policies. Is that what you're hearing from the constituents there in the state of Connecticut?
Absolutely, and it started when we put a state income tax in 1991. Before that income tax came in, Connecticut was the fastest growing state in the entire nation. In the 25 years since, we're almost last in economic growth. We're the only state that hasn't recovered the jobs from the Great Recession. I'm running on a platform of get rid of that state income tax over 8 years, lowering the corporate tax, and getting our economy moving again. That's what people are desperate for in the state of Connecticut, and that's why a Republican can win the governorship this year.
And the thing is, you're a business guy, and that's in your background, but it might be counterintuitive to some to think, wow, we had a deficit, we're going to cut taxes. How are you going to sell that?
Well, first we have to cut costs. Our spending is out of control in this state, and I'm a firm believer. You see it in Tennessee, in Florida, in Texas, that cutting tax brings people back, it brings companies back, it creates jobs, it creates revenue that we can then invest in education and health care and all the other things. But we've shown the exact opposite over the last 8 years. We've had tax increase after tax increase, and tax revenues are coming down. So to me, it's only common sense. And my opponent, Ned Lamont, is more of the same.
Bob Stefanowski, congratulations on this run. You're defying logic and tradition, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
We're going to win this thing.
All right, we'll see. We did reach out to Ned Lamont, his opponent, and we haven't heard back from him. So we would like for him to come on the show and hear from him.
Right after I toss the break, I'm checking my voicemail. Still ahead, the Trump administration is fighting to end homelessness among veterans. HUD Secretary Ben Carson tells us how it's happening.
And could listening to your favorite Christmas song actually be bad for you?
Take that, Kenny G.
No.
Got some quick Thursday morning headlines for you. First up, a computer engineer accused of making ISIS propaganda ordered to stay behind bars until his trial. A federal judge in Chicago pointing to photos of bomb-making materials found on Ashraf al-Safu's phone, along with an offer to make a new pledge of allegiance to the terror group. And a former CIA employee is accused of leaking classified information from prison. The feds say Joshua Schulte sent classified material to family members and the media on cell phones smuggled behind bars. He's already charged with sending documents on CIA hacking tools to WikiLeaks. And that is some of the news, but not all.
The media still pointing fingers at the president and Republicans for recent violent attacks, and now a CNN anchor facing some backlash for going even one step further. Listen to this.
We have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right. And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, they have the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that?
Don Lemon doubling down on those remarks, refusing to apologize and claiming, quote, cold, hard facts back up his claims.
All right, let's see if we can find some of those facts. Here to talk about that is Housing and Urban Development Secretary Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, always great to see you. Let's start off with that. If you would tackle that issue, do you think that white men are the major threat in this country? Male?
Actually, it's a little bit humorous. This is the most powerful nation that the world has ever known, and a juggernaut moving toward prosperity for everybody, solving a lot of our problems. And the only thing that can really destroy us are ourselves. Jesus said it best. He said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. It was echoed again by Abraham Lincoln. And it's absolutely true today. So we get to decide, and this is the great thing. We, the people, get to decide, are we going to listen to the purveyors of hatred and division? Or are we going to listen to our higher angels and start working on ways that we can create real fairness and use logic and common sense to solve problems and learn from our history? We have a history of dividing people into different segments, and that has caused a lot of problems in the past, and we've paid big prices for that. But let's don't sweep it under the rug. Let's acknowledge it, but let's learn from it and move in a positive direction, not a negative
So it's not
direction.
true, Dr. Carson. You do not think that white men are the biggest threat?
Of course not. That's ridiculous.
All right, let's move on to something that's so important to so many of our viewers. We talk about our veterans. We love our military. You have a big effort to combat veteran homelessness. Tell us about it, please.
Well, we look at our veterans. 1% of our population protects the other 99% of us and allows us to live in peace and freedom. So we should be willing to really help them out. And unfortunately, many of them are traumatized, have a lot of things going on in their lives, so they end up homeless on the streets. And what we've discovered is that just putting them in a house doesn't necessarily solve their problem, or just giving them wraparound services, clinical services, and things like that don't work. But when you combine those things together, we've had a tremendous impact on reducing the homelessness. And, you know, this is a wonderful model, intra-agency cooperation. And that's one of the hallmarks of this administration. All the secretaries know each other, we work together, we talk about the problems, and we use our collective resources and powers to solve them. This is an excellent example of that. And I've had a chance to travel recently to Miami, to Midland, Texas, places like that, that have declared victory in homelessness, as have 67 communities, including 3 states. It is wonderful to talk to those veterans and see how just thrilled they are with what's going on.
You say 66 communities across 33 different states have effectively ended veteran homelessness. That is unbelievable.
How are they getting the people off the street, Doctor?
Well, in many cases, you know, you have to establish relationships, because some people are traumatized to the point where they don't trust anybody.
Nobody.
So, you know, it may be a matter of going out and establishing a relationship with them, talking to them, getting them to know your name, you know, a sandwich, you know, a hot drink, something like that. And after a while, they begin to believe, because, you know, we have a wonderful country, and we have a lot of people who have big hearts who want to help. And we're finding ways in this administration to allow them to be able to help their fellow Americans. It's making a big difference.
Well, it sounds like a terrific program. If more people would like more information, Doctor, how do they get it?
Well, you can always go to HUD.gov. In fact, if you just want to be thrilled, go to HUD.gov and look at some of the things on that website, like our Humans of HUD. It tells stories about veterans and all kinds of people who are receiving services. You can see where your tax dollars are going.
Okay, forget about that online shopping. Go to HUD.com, HUD.gov.
There you go.
And I know your focus is going to be those opportunity zones, and that's going to be right after this midterm election. Thanks, Dr. Carson.
Thanks, Dr. Carson.
And Candy says hello to all you guys.
Tell her hello.
Our best.
Yeah, we're waiting for our next book. Come on.
All right, Dr. Ben Carson joining us today from Florida.
Thank you.
All right, meanwhile, straight ahead, Senator Elizabeth Warren's campaign raised more money to support her vote against Judge Kavanaugh. So what happened when she was asked about it on the debate stage? You got to see it. And you will.
And what did the voters think of President Trump's rally last night? Pete Hegseth is having breakfast with friends down in Florida, and we're going to check in with him next.
Andrew Gillum wants to take a wrecking ball to one of the most successful economies, socialist healthcare takeover that would destroy your state. He wants to abolish ICE, and he signed an extreme left-wing pledge that supported an end to all borders. A disaster for Florida's economy. Reject socialism and elect Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott.
Well, they got President Trump last night rallying thousands in Florida. So what did the voters of that area think?
Well, why don't we ask Pete Hegseth, because he's down there with them. He's talking to him at Mel's Diner in Fort Myers, Florida. Hey, Pete.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. We're just a few miles down the road from where the president rallied last night. A lot of great folks. It's 6:30 is normally when Mel's opens. It's already packed in here. Are we enthusiastic this morning? Yes. Listen to that. Good stuff. And just like the president's rally last night, almost everyone here has already voted, including John and Tom. Or did I get that right? Or is it Tom and John? Right. John and Tom. John, you voted. Tom, you already voted as well. You came to this country legally 51 years ago. Yes. So that issue is something very, very passionate.
It is very passionate to me. And I look at this caravan that's coming, these people that want to come, I can understand them wanting to come. I mean, this is a great country. It's a great place to live. It's the land of opportunity. For 51 years, I've never looked back once. It's been wonderful. I was thoroughly vetted. My parents, my grandparents, myself, we had to be interviewed at the embassies, went through the blood tests and everything. These people who think they can just walk over the border into the United States and we're going to take care of them should step back and realize this is a country of opportunity. It's something to work for. Don't expect us to just open our arms and welcome you. We don't know who you are. I mean, probably 90% good people. but there might be 10%.
And that's the point the president has made.
And that's the
time and
president's
time
point,
again.
and I fully support the president. And I just hope the president can get a little bit more support from across the aisle and get this thing.
Yeah, don't hold your breath for 5 days, all right? Hey, Tom, how about you? What issues are motivating you?
Two big issues. One is security of the country, and I fully support President Trump and what he's doing in sending troops down to the border. And the other is the economy. What he's been able to do with our economy in 2 years is absolutely incredible.
Well said, sir. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it. We're going to talk to some more folks over here as well. This is Charlie and Cheryl. Thank you both for being here this morning. Appreciate it. You're here nice and early. You're a retired electrician. You've already voted. Support this president.
Yes.
What race are you most motivated about here in Florida?
Well, actually, if Gillum gets in, I think Florida's in big trouble. I really do.
So you're not a fan of socialism?
Absolutely not. So there's no other choice, I don't believe, other than having DeSantis. So
Absolutely.
DeSantis is, we know what we have. Gillum, I'm afraid we're going to take Florida right down the tubes here.
Well, that's certainly what the president said last night at the rally. Did you didn't make the rally last night, though, did you?
No, actually, I couldn't. I didn't even see it because I'm.
He fell asleep. He told me already. It's all right. It happens. We're going to keep talking to a few more folks as well. Good morning. It's Mike and Peter. I remember that one because I can't remember names usually, but I can remember that one. Good morning. Welcome. What issue are you most passionate about in this cycle? 5 days out from the election.
I think we have to support America. I'm making America great again is not just a saying to me. It's what you live. I've been out of the country for 7 years. I just got back 4 months ago, and we need to be thankful for what we have because it is special. And I really want to see America stay America, not what the socialists want it to be, but to stay what we are today.
You were running a business overseas. Did that remind you how special America is?
Oh my God, you have no idea. The people of America are special, and we need to cherish that, and we need to remember that, and we need to remember for that baby right there.
Oh, that's baby Ellie, by the way. I don't know if we can pan over there. She's the smiliest, most wonderful. Now you don't want to smile for me.
We need to keep America for baby Ellie.
For the next generation.
Absolutely, and I have 7 grandchildren, and I want them to know the America that I've known growing up.
Well said, well said. Peter, your thoughts, issues that you're most passionate about?
We just can't become a socialist country and survive. We're all going to go broke.
So nobody here is voting for Gillum?
Absolutely not.
No, but how does the idea, this is a quick question though, how did the idea of socialism become popular in America?
Because we keep following European footsteps, thinking, well, Europe's doing it, we can do it. And I don't think it's going to work.
So you think the polls show it a tight race? Do you think Gillum has a shot?
I certainly hope not.
No. Absolutely not.
Absolutely
this
not.
is Trump's country.
We shall see. The polls are tight, but a lot of folks saying ignore the polls here because there's a lot of enthusiasm for the candidates at the top of the ticket. Guys, from Mel's Diner, back to you. We've got a lot of good folks to talk to this morning. We'll do it all morning long.
That's right. We have been down in Mel's before. All right, Pete Hegseth's with the folks having breakfast. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Pete.
I will say this. I remember watching election night in 2016, and Florida was the beginning of the end for Hillary. In the beginning, she had that huge lead, and then went boom, 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 boom. Lost all those counties, and then she lost all those states.
Well, the president was there boosting votes for Rick Scott and for Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is going to join us. He's a former congressman. Now he's running for governor. He's going to join us at 7:15.
Not many people remember, but he was in the military for quite some time. So
that's right.
And now he's out.
All right, it's 20 minutes before the top of the hour, and Jillian joins us with the news.
That's right. Good morning. The FBI accused of secretly recording former Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. Republican lawmaker Mark Meadows suggesting agents taped him in 2016 while investigating possible collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. Last week, Papadopoulos told Fox and Friends he may pull out of a plea deal. Meadows is demanding the DOJ release the tapes. It seems Elizabeth Warren is turning a blind eye to fundraising. In September, the Massachusetts Democrat put her name on an email saying she opposed Justice Kavanaugh's nomination and asked for campaign donations. Her opponent, Jeff Deal, questioning her about it at a debate.
But you did, and it turns out it's illegal.
Did you or did you not do that?
Actually, I don't know.
An ethics complaint has been filed about a fundraising.
Then I will check into it, but I don't know.
The complaint says it's against Senate rules to ask for money based on voting future votes. Excuse me. It turns out the Grinch may be right when it comes to holiday cheer.
Oh, yeah, big smile. Yes, this Christmas music.
Okay, so according to a Sky News psychologist, listening to too much Christmas music can be bad for your mental health. They claim the songs can stop people from focusing on anything besides Christmas, which can induce stress. We want to know what you think. Make sure you reach out an email, or you can send us messages on social media. I don't know. I feel like after Thanksgiving, it is fair game, and I enjoy every second of it.
After Thanksgiving, it's November 1st. I think it's fair game now.
Start playing the music?
Yes.
I like Christmas music.
I love it, too.
It reminds me of the happiest
Jingle
time of
bells,
year, the
jingle
holidays.
bells.
I only like Kenny G.
I know.
No lyrics.
No Mariah Carey.
I just want one guy playing an instrument.
All right. Good enough. Listen, Janice Dean is in front of our building right now. She's all alone, where it's not a bad start to this Thursday.
It's not. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Take a look. Take a look. We got our Christmas decorations. I love Christmas music, by the way. Don't take it away. All right, let's take a look at the maps. I have some serious weather I want to talk about because we had some tornadoes last night across Texas and Louisiana, and the threat continues today. Fortunately, the storms are starting to weaken, but we still have a tornado watch in effect for parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama. All right, so this line of thunderstorms could bring the potential for hail, damaging winds, and also tornadoes. We could also see the potential for very heavy rainfall. So this is going to be the area of concern today. And we actually have a couple of tornado-warned storms northwest of Jackson, Mississippi. So we'll continue to monitor that throughout the day. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Start shopping.
Where
You know, Janice, just turn around and go 1 block behind you. That's where the Rockettes audition.
That's true. You think I could audition?
Why not? You got to go.
All right.
They need singers.
9 o'clock, I'm there.
All right.
All right.
Good enough.
Okay, hey, 18 minutes before the top of the hour, I got to go Christmas shopping, but first this. She said she was not running for president, but Oprah is about to hit the campaign trail. And she is not alone.
And President Trump says birthright citizenship will end one way or another. So what are his legal options? Judge Napolitano's on the case. He's here in Studio F. Come on over. You're next on Fox and Friends, Judge.
President Trump vowing to change birthright citizenship rules with the stroke of his pen.
But not everybody in Congress, including people in his own party, are on the same page. So what are the president's options? Here to weigh in, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Morning, guys.
The president said the other day maybe he would change it via executive order, but then yesterday he said maybe he would prefer to go through Congress rather than an executive order.
Well, listen, Congress can write legislation that puts sections of the Constitution into our law and tells bureaucrats how to enforce sections of the Constitution. But Congress can't change the Constitution. So if the president wants legislation that says, for example, the Congress declares that birthright citizenship no longer exists, that legislation would be just as unconstitutional as a presidential executive order declaring that birthright citizenship doesn't exist. Why do I say that? Because of the plain meaning of the 14th Amendment, which says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state in which they live.
But it's that word jurisdiction that
So are illegals subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? Of course they are. They commit a crime, they get prosecuted. They get hit in an automobile accident, they can sue. They have basic human rights. They can't vote, they can't run for office, but they are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. The phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof is intended to exclude from automatic citizenship the offspring of those who are not subject to our jurisdiction. Who would that be? Foreign diplomats, foreign heads of state, foreign agents.
But do you agree that our founding fathers couldn't possibly have foreseen 20 million people here illegally?
Of course.
And people abusing the system like Russians and Chinese as well as Central and South Americans.
So the remedy is to change the Constitution, which is very difficult, very cumbersome, and in my opinion will not happen. The remedy would require a vote of 2/3 of both houses of Congress. That's not going to happen now. and ratification by 3/4 of the state legislatures.
Right.
Very cumbersome.
How about legislation driven from Lindsey Graham that passes the House and Senate that makes the courts decide on this and have an honest debate about this?
Well, the courts can't just decide something. They
Well,
have
once
to
it's challenged, once it's
correct.
passed
They
and
have to have a real case or controversy in front of them. But when the Supreme Court has looked at this, candidly, it's gone both ways. But the more recent cases have said whoever is born here is an American citizen. Look, the president can't change the plain meaning of the Constitution with the stroke of a pen. If he could do that, then Barack Obama could have gotten rid of the Second Amendment, which he hated. Presidents can't do that, and I think the president knows that. I believe he has generated this because he wants the debate. He thinks this debate will help Republicans in the 5 days remaining before the midterms. I don't think he seriously thinks he can change the Constitution with an executive order.
Well, he has changed the subject, and now everybody's talking about it.
Right.
All right, Judge, thank you very much.
I do believe he sincerely wants this. I don't think it's contrived at all.
Fully agree with you, Brian.
Right.
All right.
Thanks, Judge.
You're welcome.
All right, 11 minutes before the top of the hour. You saw him on the stage with the president last night in Florida. Will it be enough to help Ron DeSantis become the state's next governor? He will join us live next hour.
And she said she wasn't running for president, but that doesn't mean Oprah is done with politics. Carly Shimkus tells us how Hollywood is going all in to back Democrats in the midterm.
Andrew Gillum wants to take a wrecking ball to one of the most successful economies, socialist healthcare takeover that would destroy your state. He wants to abolish ICE, and he signed an extreme left-wing pledge that supported an end to all borders. A disaster for Florida's economy. Reject socialism and elect Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott.
Well, they got President Trump last night rallying thousands in Florida. So what did the voters of that area think?
Well, why don't we ask Pete Hegseth, because he's down there with them. He's talking to him at Mel's Diner in Fort Myers, Florida. Hey, Pete.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. We're just a few miles down the road from where the president rallied last night. A lot of great folks. It's 6:30 is normally when Mel's opens. It's already packed in here. Are we enthusiastic this morning? Listen to that. Good stuff. And just like the president's rally last night, almost everyone here has already voted, including John and Tom. Or did I get that right? Or is it Tom and John? Right. John and Tom. John, you voted. Tom, you already voted as well. You came to this country legally 51 years ago.
Yes.
So that issue is something very, very passionate.
It is very passionate to me. And I look at this caravan that's coming, these people that want to come, I can understand them wanting to come. I mean, this is a great country. It's a great place to live. It's the land of opportunity. For 51 years, I've never looked back once. It's been wonderful. I was thoroughly vetted. My parents, my grandparents, myself, we had to be interviewed at the embassies, went through the blood tests and everything. These people who think they can just walk over the border into the United States and we're going to take care of them should step back and realize this is a country of opportunity. It's something to work for. Don't expect us to just open our arms and welcome you. We don't know who you are. I mean, probably 90% good people, but there might be 10%.
And that's the point the president has made.
And that's the president's point, and I fully support the president. And I just hope the president can get a little bit more support from across the aisle and get this thing
don't hold your breath for 5 days,
right.
all right? Hey, Tom, how about you? What issues are motivating you?
Two big issues. One is security of the country, and I fully support President Trump and what he's doing in sending troops down to the border. And the other is the economy. What he's been able to do with our economy in 2 years is absolutely incredible.
Well said, sir. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it. We're going to talk to some more folks over here as well. This is Charlie and Cheryl. Thank you both for being here this morning. Appreciate it. You're here nice and early. You're a retired electrician. You've already voted. Support this president.
Yes.
What race are you most motivated about here in Florida?
Well, actually, if Gillum gets in, I think Florida's in big trouble. I really do.
So you're not a fan of socialism?
Absolutely not. So there's no other choice, I don't believe, other than having DeSantis. So
Absolutely.
DeSantis is, we know what we have. Gillum, I'm afraid we're going to take Florida right down the tubes here.
Well, that's certainly what the president said last night at the rally. Did you didn't make the rally last night, though, did you?
No, actually, I couldn't. I didn't even see it because I'm
He fell asleep. He told me already. It's all right. It happens. We're going to keep talking to a few more folks as well. Good morning. It's Mike and Peter. I remember that one because I can't remember names usually, but I can remember that one. Good morning. Welcome. What issue are you most passionate about in this cycle? 5 days out from the election.
I think we have to support America. I'm making America great again is not just a saying to me. It's what you live. I've been out of the country for 7 years. I just got back 4 months ago, and we need to be thankful for what we have because it is special. And I really want to see America stay America, not what the socialists want it to be, but to stay what we are today.
You were running a business overseas. Did that remind you how special America is?
Oh, my God, you have no idea. The people of America are special, and we need to cherish that, and we need to remember that, and we need to remember for that baby right there.
Oh, that's baby Ellie, by the way. I don't know if we can pan over there. She's the smiliest, most wonderful. Now you don't want to smile for me.
We need to keep America for baby Ellie.
For the next generation.
Absolutely. And I have 7 grandchildren, and I want them to know the America that I've known growing up.
Well said, well said. Peter, your thoughts, issues that you're most passionate about?
We just can't become a socialist country and survive. We're all going to go broke.
So nobody here is voting for Gillum?
Absolutely not.
No, but how does the idea, this is a question though, how does the idea of socialism become popular in America?
Because we keep following